Watcher for a long time. He was the anonymous writer behind the fake Steve Jobs blog that was very popular in Silicon Valley, and he's Newsweek's tech columnist. And in fact, Dan Lyons in June stopped doing fake Steve because he feared that Steve Jobs was going to get a recurrence of the cancer. Thanks for being with us, gentlemen. Dan Lyons, what do you think of the situation and Apple's handling of it?
I think Apple has been playing fast and loose with the truth for 6 or 8 months now. And I think they've done a terrible job of it. I think the way they've sort of said first he had a bug, then they leaked that he had some surgery, then there's a hormone thing. I think it's like, you ever have a girlfriend who cheats on you, but she doesn't tell you right away? She sort of tells you, well, I worked late, and then, well, I did go to dinner with this guy, and well, we did kind of make out in the car. I think it's like that, you know? They ought to just own up and tell the truth. Jim
Goldman, I distinctly remember a week or two ago, after the news broke that Macworld, Jobs would not be speaking there for the first time ever or something, and a blogger put out that we think it's because, we hear it's because he's sick again. You very boldly, checked with some sources. You came on air, Jim, and you said, look, that blogger story is wrong. Nothing has changed. Everything's all right. Then the hormonal imbalance thing came, and now this, and I got to ask you a tough question. Here comes a curveball, my friend. Do you feel lied to by your sources? Or was it just a change?
Honestly, no, honestly, I don't feel lied to by my sources. I know who I spoke to, I know what information they're privy to, and I know why they shared it with me. And I honestly believe that at the moment that I spoke to these people, they were telling me what they believed to be the truth, and that's what I reported. Does that make it right? Do I feel snowed? Do I feel used? Absolutely not. I believe that up until this past week, that I have been sourced very well on this story and reported exactly what I was told, and I believed what I reported. That brings us to today, and what has happened over the past week is bordering on deplorable. I don't understand how Steve Jobs himself can come forward just a week ago saying that he is suffering from an easily treatable hormonal imbalance, and how in just a matter of mere days we suffer this medical whiplash, and all of a sudden he needs a 6-month leave of absence because these health issues have suddenly become far more complex.
But let me play devil's advocate, Jim. Let me play devil's advocate, Jim, and you and I have been on this story together in many contexts, behind the scenes and publicly. Isn't it possible that a doctor came to him within the past few days and said, wait a minute, those early tests turn out not to be what I thought, but something different? Isn't that a possible explanation?
Absolutely, and Tyler, you and I both know that, health is a moving target, and it is hard to pin down what plagues you. I mean, it is difficult, and heaven only knows how many doctors are on Steve Jobs' team, and this is a fast-moving target, and there's going to be a lot of changes. If that's the case, however, they took careful pains last week to say that after a battery of sophisticated blood tests, they have come to this conclusion. It just doesn't wash well that a mere matter of days later, it has suddenly escalated.
Oh, I agree with that. It does not wash well. That is absolutely the case.
Which brings us to the next point. Dan, do you think Apple has impaired its credibility permanently because of its handling of this particular issue?
Apple, in my mind, Apple never had much credibility. Anybody who's covered that company, there's 2 kinds of reporters who cover Apple. The kind who realize they're getting snowed and they're getting bullied and they're getting blocked out and realize that a lot of what they're being told is not true. And the other kind who suck up in order to get access and end up getting played and punked, like your Valley Bureau chief has been played and punked by Apple. And he can try now to backpedal and say that what he reported was true. But look, you should apologize to Gizmodo for having criticized them, and you should apologize to your viewers for having gotten it so wrong. And let me say something else. I think it's appalling that you now say that a week ago, wait a minute, let me finish. You said a week ago you started hearing that Steve was in denial, and you're shocked. Why didn't you report that? You came out a couple weeks ago and said, this is the day the shorts have dreaded, everything is fine.
Well,
Steve
he probably didn't report it, Dan.
And the stock went up.
Sources tell you something,
you got lied to.
Sometimes you're not allowed to use it, and then a new thing happens, you have to go back and get it. Here's the other thing.
Dan,
like it or not, guys.
Let me just jump in there really quickly, Dan.
The dirty secret of journalism is you have to believe most of what you're told. You can't check every single thing.
I would love to hear Jim speak up for himself. Jim?
Look,
let me tell you something. The guy who's running PR at Apple used to be the CNBC bureau chief.
Dan, I gave you a chance to talk. Dan, if you want to get into this, let's get into it. The fact is, if you want to take this discussion and these attacks personal, go right ahead. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. The bottom line is this. Until I am privy to Steve Jobs' medical... Let me finish. Until I'm privy to Steve Jobs' medical records directly, and until something specific from the company indicates otherwise, all I am telling you is, A, what my sources are telling me, who I trust, and B, what the company is telling me.
You know, you go with what you know, and Jim...
You were wrong.
If
Jim
there's something in
reported what he
between,
knew. I mean, Jim
Dan,
reported
look,
what he was told, and that's what every journalist
You're sitting here doing
does.
the classic case.
Well, look, no, Dennis,
but the bottom line is this. Wait, Dan, look, let me just finish here.
If you're
you
just going to repeat press releases, why have the press? Why not just let Apple put out press releases, and why have a bureau out in Silicon Valley?
Nobody can hear anything you guys are saying because you're talking all over one another, and we're out of time. Alas, gentlemen, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Jim, Dan. We appreciate it.
All right, good to be with you guys.
You bet. So, who knew what, and when did they know it? That's the key question. There are more questions than answers here, clearly. And will shareholders start to file lawsuits? Mark Lanier, you remember him. He's a trial attorney. Eric Diesenhall, damage control consultant. There's plenty of damage here to go around, clearly.
Watch